Okay. Awesome. I'm proud of myself for that. Okay, so the FBF 2.3, this one is a big one that there's a lot of problems of this standard, so definitely a really good one to practice. And there's some really easy problems with this standard, but there's also some challenging ones. So I wanted to do a little bit of both. So I started it off with some easy ones. F of x minus 6, Perla already put it in. She says this is 6 units to the right, and that is correct. 6 units to the right. So I wanted to quickly go over all the different combinations. So let's say I had f of x plus 6. What would that be? Good, Rios. That would be left, yeah. 6 units left. How could I get 6 units up? What would I need for up? So I know that
Multiplication.
yes, however, there's a specific place where I'm going to put a 6. Where's that going to be? Not in the exponent.
Next to the x.
Yeah, there you go. So it's not in the parentheses, it's going to be next to them outside. So this would be f of x plus 6, that's 6 units up. And then to go down, that would be f of x minus 6 with the 6 outside the parentheses. Questions on that?
No.
Okay. All right, so that's all the transformations, up, down, left, and right. All right, so that's kind of like the basic. This is like an easy question because this is all very easy to memorize, all right? But now let's do a couple easy ones, harder ones. Can I have a volunteer read this one? Perla?
Okay, fine. Tyrone tortured me and he set me up. He blackmailed me,
Uh-huh.
and I will
Blackmail him back.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So,
Sounds good.
do this again, and I will blackmail you. I will expose your darkest secrets. Okay, let's start.
All right, go.
A linear function f of x passes through the points 2, 8 and 5, 17. The function was replaced with f of k plus 5, resulting in the function g of x. The function g of x passes through the points 2, 14 and 5, 23. What is the value of k?
Cool. Okay. So this one's a little hard because they don't really give you like an equation. They don't really give you a graph to look at. They don't even give you a table. They just give you coordinate points, right? But when I see coordinate points like these, I like to make it a little bit easier for myself. I like to put them in a table. So in the first one, for f of x, this is f of x, right? We have 2 coordinate points. That's 2, 8 and 5, 17. And then we have f of x plus k. And for f of x plus k, well, that one's actually, it's called g of x. We have 2, 14, and we have 5, 23. So let's just kind of like think about what happened to go from one to the other, to go from f of x to g of x. Can anyone describe?
They added 6.
They added 6 to which value?
The y.
To the y value, right? This 8 plus 6 gives me 14. 17 plus 6 gives me 23, right? And that's adding to the y value. But When you add to the y value, what type of transformation is that? Is that horizontal or vertical? Horizontal, okay. Adding to the y value, which one's the y-axis? Think about the y-axis. Yeah, y-axis is vertical, not horizontal. So if I was on, okay, let's actually like kind of visualize this. I've got my coordinate points. One is 2 comma 8 and the other one is 2 comma 14. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. Hold on. Let me make this a little bit better. Okay, so one is 2 comma 8 and one is 2 comma 14. So the first one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is right here. That's f of x, but then g of x is 2 comma 14, so that's here. So to go from one to the other, what happens? To go from red to green, what happens?
They went up 6.
Up 6, exactly. So this was a vertical shift. This is up 6 units. Well, how do you write up 6? That would be f of x plus 6 on the outside of the parentheses. But what are we asking? What is it asking for in the question?
Oh, with the like number already incorporated of the in the parentheses. I mean, Miss, I can't talk today.
That's okay, that's okay. So yeah, look at what they're asking for. They're asking for f of x plus k, but they're asking for what it looks like when it's inside the parentheses, not outside the parentheses. So even though I know this is going 6 units up, that doesn't actually tell me how many units it moves left and right. So this is where it's kind of challenging. This was a really challenging problem when I first looked at it. I was like, I'm not really sure how to do this. So let's see. One thing we can do, we know that this is a linear function, right? It tells us that this is linear. So what maybe we can do is figure out the equation for f of x and figure out the equation for g of x, and then maybe we can kind of figure out how to go from one to the other. So let's start with that. So we're going to write the linear equation for f of x. How do I write a linear equation? Hmm? F of x is equal to linear equation. Linear. What's linear? You guys should know this by now. There you go, Janelle's. Mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. So we need to write that equation, but we don't know the slope and we don't know the y-intercept, right? So we got to figure that out. So let's think about it. We need to know the slope for f of x. I have 2 coordinate points. Let's use the slope formula to figure it out. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. How do I fill in this formula?
17 minus 8 over 5 over 2.
Good. 17 minus 8 is 9, right? Am I right? 17 minus 8?
Maybe.
9? Yeah, 9. And then 5 minus 2 is 3. So what's 9 divided by 3?
3.
3. My slope is 3. All right, if my slope is 3, can anyone tell me how I can figure out the y-intercept?
Oh, I was just teaching my friend to do this.
Which friend?
Melody, but she's in pre-algebra. I was
Oh yeah,
teaching
she's
her
in
how to find the
pre-algebra.
y-intercept.
Okay. How do I do it?
So you rewrite the equation with the slope already,
Mm-hmm.
and then you plug in your coordinate point,
Good.
and then
So
just
exactly. So I can plug in any of these two coordinates. Which one do you want, Perla?
2 comma 14. Oh wait, no, that's
On
not
f
it.
of x.
2 comma 8.
2 comma 8. Okay. So we're going to plug in everything except for b. So my y is 8. What's my slope? 3. What's my x? What's the x? Anyone? Yeah, 8. Yeah. Wait, I did it back. No, I did it right. It's not 8. What is it? 2 is my x, 8 was my y. So yeah, Janelle's, it's 2. All right, now I multiplied. 2 times 3 is 6, so I have 8 equals 6 plus b. What's the value of b going to be? Good, Jalen, 2. So b equals 2. So now I've got everything I need. Finally, let me write my equation for f of x. F of x, I'll write it over here, equals 3x plus 2. That's f of x. Cool. Well, now I have to do the same exact thing for g of x. We're going to do it again, but with new numbers. I need the slope. Let's do it real quick. 23 minus 14, what's that? Nine, good. 5 minus 2, that's 3. Guess what? The slope is also 3, which makes sense, right? Because if this is a transformation, remember that when you move something up, down, left, right, is the slope changing at all? When I move my arm, it's not changing at all. That would be something different. So we know that the slope was going to be the same, but what's going to be different is the y-intercept. So now let's find that out. Same as before, we're going to plug in everything except for b. So I need a coordinate, I need one of these. And I know Perla said 2 comma 14 before, so I'm just going to choose that one. So this is my x, this is my y. So I write 14 equals slope is 3, x is 2, 3 times 2 is 6. So what's b going to be? Good, Emily, 8. B is 8. All right, so now I have f of x and I have g of x. I'm running out of room to write these functions. So for g of x, here we go. G of x is 3x plus 8. Okay. Now we're going somewhere. We have two equations, all right? And I'm still not sure though. I need to figure out what am I adding? How many units am I shifting? Not up and down, but left to right. So which value on these graphs goes left and right? The y values or the x values? Right, the x values. So instead of comparing y values, we need to compare x values. So what can I find for both of these functions that can help me compare the two? Hmm? Anyone? What's a value? Like we're talking about linear functions, right? So linear functions, they have slope, they have y-intercept, they have x-intercept. Which of those three should I compare so that I can tell left and right? Left to right. X-intercept, exactly, Tyrone. Okay. So we got to do one last thing. Can I erase everything except for the equations that I have down here? Or is anybody still copying? Okay. Just to clear some space because I have a lot of information here. Okay. So I have f of x and I have g of x, right? I know that these are both linear functions. I know that they're lines on a graph. And I know that they're in some way or another, one of them is moving to the right and to the left. But I'm still trying to figure out how many units to the right it's moving. So the way that I can figure this out is by finding the x-intercept. Does anybody remember what I can do to find the x-intercept for f of x or for any linear function? I'm very glad we're reviewing this today, guys. Okay. Step back. What is an x-intercept? Physically, what is the x-intercept? Of a graph, of any graph, what happens at the x-intercept? Exactly, it's where it crosses the x-axis, right? So at the x-intercept, what is the value of y? 0, good. Remember that on a table, you can always find the x-intercept because it's something, comma, 0. That y value is 0. So since we have an equation, what I can do is I can replace f of x with 0. Yeah, I think Tyrone was kind of saying, yeah, you make the y 0, and then you solve for x. You figure out what is the value of x when y equals 0. So I set it equal to 0, and then I'm going to solve for x. So solving for x, I need to take away the 2. 0 minus 2 is negative 2. I divide by 3, and I get negative 2 over 3. So the x-intercept is negative 2 thirds. So I got this for f of x. Now I need to do it to g of x, and then I can see, okay, how many units apart are the x-intercepts. So now I'm going to do the same exact thing with g of x. We're going to make it equal to 0. All right, and then we solve for x. We take away 8 on both sides, and I get negative 8 equals 3x. And then I divide by 3, and I get x equals negative 8 over 3. Okay. But now we got to compare these two. Both of these are fractions. So we could make it, yeah, Janelle's is suggesting to do it as a decimal. That might help us out. Go for it, Janelle's. What is that decimal for negative 2 thirds? Okay, I'll give you a sec. Negative 0.6. Exactly, not 1. We're dividing negative 2 divided by 3. That's negative 0.6. And then what about negative 8 divided by 3? Negative 2.6. So how far apart are they from each other? 2 units, exactly. So my final answer would be A.
Ms. Lopez, I'm gonna be completely honest. When you made them into like the linear function,
Mm-hmm.
and you wrote f of x equals 3x plus 2, I thought that was it, and I was about to say it's just 2.
Well, no, because what is the question is asking basically how many units to the left did that function move? But you don't know that without comparing the x-intercept. So basically, long story short, for vertical shifts, so up and down, you compare y-intercepts. For horizontal shifts, left to right, you have to compare x-intercepts. Okay, so that's why in this entire problem, it was very lengthy because we needed to figure out the x-intercept of both of these functions and then be able to compare them. Okay, so this one was tough. I do think this is harder than what would be on the EOC. Like this was like uh just I don't know, this one was involved so many different steps. I think it's going to be a little easier than this on the EOC. However, this was a good like example of how to do this type of question. Is this on your homework? There are questions for FBF 2.3. I don't think that any of them look exactly like this though, because this one's a little more challenging. In general, I put the most challenging questions for during the lessons, and then I put the slightly easier questions for homework, even though they're still hard, but. All right, next. Okay, this one's easy. This is a nice little break. Which transformation describes the graph of f of x minus 1 with negative 1 outside the parentheses? B or D? B, yeah, down 1 unit. Yes, exactly. One of your questions has the question grayed out. What does that mean, Jalen? On the homework? Okay, just write me a little note so that when I'm grading it, I can see what happened, okay? Okay, here's another. The graph of the quadratic function is shown on the P is shown on the grid below. If h of x equals x to the power of 2 and p of x is h of x plus k, what is the value of k? Okay, so let's break it down. The one on the graph, what's the name of the one on the graph? Read it again. The quadratic function p is the one on the graph. So this is p of x. Then it says if h of x is x squared and p of x equals h of x plus k, what is the value of k? So h of x is a separate function, but what's the name of this specific type of function? This one has a name. Anybody? Starts with a P. This one's my parent function. So parent functions is like it's like the most basic quadratic function. How do I know this is quadratic, by the way? The exponent, good. Okay, this is my parent function. It's the most basic quadratic function because, you know, with quadratic functions, usually you have a lot of numbers, right? If you're in standard form, that'll have ax squared plus bx plus c. But in this one, it's very basic because all you have is x squared. Let me charge my computer. Hold on 1 second. Okay. All right. Well, the parent function lives, since it's the most basic one, I'm going to kind of sketch it. The parent function lives on the origin like this. It's kind of like neutral in terms of how wide it is. So remember, we always compare things to the parent function. When you have the parent function, you can say, oh, this was a vertical shift because it went up and down. This is a horizontal shift because it went left to right. This is a stretch. This is a compression. All of those different things, you can compare them to the parent function. So here we're comparing things to the parent function. And the question is, what is the value of k in this scenario? So I know that there was what type of shift, vertical or horizontal in this example? Vertical, good. And how many units did it transform? 6 units, right, Jalen? How many 6 units up, down, left, or right? 6 units down, exactly. We went down 6 units. So that means that the value of k, since I went down 6 units, what would be the value of k? Tyrone, I'll answer your question in just a second. Let me just get my final answer. Yeah, Perla, -6, because the negative indicates that I'm going down, and this would be 6 units down, so it's -6. Now, how did he get 6? Jalen, what exactly did you look at to determine that it was 6 units? Yeah, but what specifically? Where did you count from? 0 down to 6, exactly. What is that point called on these parabolas? The vertex. Good, Tyrone. Exactly, we're just comparing the vertex. So from one vertex to the other, down 6 units. All right, so that was it for this one. And the most important thing was just to remember what the parent function is. So anytime that you guys see, like, it'll be called a bunch of different things, but usually it's called f of x equals x squared. If it's just x squared all alone, nothing else on it, that's your parent function, and it lives on the origin. So what that means is the vertex of that function is 0, 0. And then from there, it'll move left, right, up, down, as usual. Questions on this one? All right. Okay, so that was a quadratic function. What's this one? Expo marker, Jalen? Exponential, yeah. All right, so we know it's exponential. And again, we are moving it in a certain direction. So it says the coordinate plane below shows the graph of f of x after a transformation of f of x minus h. Okay, which statement about f of x minus h is true? So let's review exponential functions before I get into it. exponential functions, what's the general rule for them? Y equals what? Come on, guys. We did this yesterday. I said for exponential functions, what's the general function equation? AB to the power of x. Good, Perla. We know that's the very general rule. And the x is in the exponent, right? So let me, this might be a little bit confusing to explain. Let me think. Okay, I'm going to back up because I'm about to get into something. I want to make sure that I'm explaining things correctly. Ignore the problem for just a second. Okay, just ignore it for now. I'm just going to do things a little bit differently. So I'm going to show you two functions. And then, okay, sorry guys, I'm like thinking on the spot about how I can teach this the best way. So I'm actually writing the same function 2 times, but I'm going to do 2 different things to it, okay? So first I'm going to do f of x plus 3 with the 3 on the outside. So I already know when the 3 is on the outside, what type of transformation is that? What type of transformation would this be? Good, Emily, up 3 units. Okay, I already know that. But I'm going to show you what it looks like when I actually put it into the function. Because really what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, I'm going to take f of x and I'm going to add 3 to it. So I'm going to take f of x, which is 2x plus 1, and I'm going to add 3 to it. So I add 3. Well, when you add 3, we end up with 2x plus 1 plus 3 is 4. So there's my new function. I'll call it g of x. That's my new function. When you move up 3 units, the y-intercept goes up 3 units. Well, now I'm going to do a very similar thing, but this time I'm going to do f of x plus 3, where 3 is inside the parentheses. What type of transformation is that? That would not be down. Good, that would be left 3 units. I already know that. On a graph, I know what that would look like. But in my equation, what I would do, rather than adding 3 to the whole function, I'm adding 3 to the x. I'm going to say that again. In the first example, I added 3 to the whole function. In this example, I'm adding 3 just to the x. So here's what happens. I have 2 times x plus 3. So I'm going to add 3 to the x, and then plus 1. Okay, notice the difference. Look at the 2 things we've done so far. Well, now if I wanted to simplify this, I need to distribute first. So this would be 2x plus 6 plus 1. And then my final answer would be 2x plus 7. Okay, so there you go. So this is the difference between a vertical transformation and a horizontal transformation. For a vertical transformation, it moves up 3 units, just like this one did. For a horizontal transformation, it moved to the left 3 units. So I was able to plug that 3 into the equation, in with the x. And I got 2 different answers because those are 2 different transformations. Pausing there, questions on what I did so far. Remember, this has nothing to do yet with our problem. This was just like a little sidebar. Okay. Okay. Well, now let's look at our actual problem. All right. They're telling me that this is going to, the transformation is f of x minus h, where h is in the parentheses. So am I adding h to the function, or am I adding h to the x value? I'll ask that one more time. Am I adding h to the whole function, or am I, and I say add, I mean subtract. Am I subtracting h to the whole function or just to the x? Just to the x, exactly. So which answer choices can I take out because they're adding it to the whole function? Right, A and B. A and B are adding 1 and subtracting 1 to the whole function. And we already know that it should only be adding it and subtracting it, or subtracting it to just the x. And then, since I know I'm subtracting, this is pretty easy. I'm looking for the one that uses subtraction, which is answer choice D. Exactly. So kind of, the reason I went through all of that is to just make sure you guys understand the difference, okay? When it's inside the parentheses, you add it just to the x. When it's outside the parentheses, that value is being added / subtracted from the whole function. Any questions? Okie dokes. All right. I think we only have like one more of these. Oh no, there's 2 more at least. Let's look at this one. The original function f of x equals 2x squared minus 1 is shifted to the left 3 units to make the function g of x. Which expression would represent g of x? Okay, so now that we went through all of that, I think you guys can try this one on your own. To the left 3 units, which one would it be? Perla says B. Do we agree? She's the only one who's answered. Janelle's agrees. But they're all not sure, so if you think something different, speak up. Okay, so let's review. Left 3 units, is that horizontal or vertical? Horizontal, good. That's horizontal. Oops, horizontal. And horizontal, is that inside the parentheses or outside the parentheses? Tyrone, you've got it backwards, dude. Come on. Other way around. We got to get this straight, okay? This is inside the parentheses. So my general rule is going to be f of x, and I'm inside the parentheses and I'm horizontal. Will it be f of x plus 3 or f of x minus 3? Good, plus, it's the opposite. F of x plus 3. So, like we talked about in the previous example, that's going to be added to the x only. All right, so like Perla and Janelle's both said, and then Tyrone agreed, that would be answer choice B. Exactly. What would answer choice A do? How many units or what direction would that one take you in? This would be to the right. What about C? Yeah, this was up. But not 2 units up. How many units up is C? How many units up for C? Look, compare. This used to be a -1. Now it's a +2. How many units up did it go? Yeah, up 3 units. And then this one, we said down, also down 3 units. I feel like it's coming a little bit together. How do we feel now compared to before? Kind of makes more sense? Okay, yeah. This is one of those, this FBF 2.3, man. They come at you with some really easy ones for this standard, and then they come out with some really hard ones. So it's one of those standards that can go either way, and we have to be ready for whatever they give you, because I don't know what's on the EOC, so I can't tell you if it's going to be the easy versions or the hard versions. All right, I think that's, oh wow, I really put a lot of them. Okay, we have 2 more. Okay, here we go. The function f of x equals 6 to the power of x was replaced with f of x plus k, resulting in the function shown below. What is the value of k? All right, plus k on the outside, I know that this is moving in what direction? Up, up, up. But I don't know how much yet. However, what did we just talk about? If we're comparing vertical up and down, should I be comparing the y-intercept or the x-intercept? Good, we're going to compare the y-intercepts. Okay, let's do it. What is the y-intercept of the table? What is the y-intercept of the table? This is not a trick question. What is the y-intercept of the table? Yeah, 10. How do I know? What do you always look for? Good, Jalen, the x is 0, when x equals 0. Okay, so I know this is my y-intercept. All right, but I don't know the y-intercept of the original function, because remember, we started with f of x, we moved up, I don't know how much, we went up, and then we created g of x. So I still need to know where we started. I know where we ended up. We ended up at 10, but I don't know where it started. So how can I figure out the y-intercept of my original function? 6 to the power of x. I'm going to quote Jalen Sanders Cobb 0475058 to everybody at some time undisclosed. X is 0. According to Jalen Sanders Cobb 0475058, the y-intercept is when x equals 0. So what can I do with this equation? What is going to be equal to 0? Hold up. What did Jalen Sanders Cobb 0475058 say again? The x is 0, exactly. So if I need to know, listen, guys, if you're chilling on the beach on a nice day, not today, it's a little cold, right? Maybe when it's a little bit warmer. If you're chilling on the beach with your family and I see you out there with having fun, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Tyrone with his family. And I run up to Tyrone in the middle of Miami Beach while he's with his family, and I ask him, how do I figure out the y-intercept of a function? You guys better, Tyrone, you better be ready to answer me. I'm gonna plug in what number? 0. No matter what function you talk about, any function in the world, you're gonna plug in 0. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna plug in 0 to figure out my y-intercept. So I'm plugging in 0. That means my exponent is 0. And here is where, okay. Here's what I'm gonna do, guys. I'm gonna make this interesting. Privately, message me, privately. If you put it on public, the whole thing gets ruined. Privately message me without using a calculator. If you know the answer to this, I will give you extra credit. What is 6 to the power of 0? None of you did it privately, guys. I said privately. Oh, well, Eric and Janelle's and Jalen, because he did it privately. The 3 of you, I'm gonna give it to you because you all kind of did it at the same time. Alejandro, I don't know. Did you write it? I don't think you did. No, because Alejandro, you wrote 0, but it's not. It's 1. It is 1. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. Anything in the world. 1,000 to the power of 0 is 1. Negative 2,000 billion to the power of 0 is 1. Everything in the world to the power of 0 is 1. So that means that the y-intercept of f of x is 1. Good job to those who remembered. Good job, Eric. Good job, Janelle's. And who else was it? And Jalen. Those 3 of you, you guys had it right away. You said it right away. So I appreciate you guys for remembering that. Ooh, what about 0 to the power of 0? That's where you kind of get into some weird situations. But yeah, 0 to the power of 0, technically, that's also 1. Alrighty. So now we're almost done. We know that we started at 1, we ended at 10. How many units did it go up? What's the value of k? 9. Good. All right. So there it is, guys. Long story short, if it's asking you how many, like if it's anytime it asks you what is the value of k, like this question right here, what is the value of k? You have to think to yourself, am I comparing x-intercepts or y-intercepts? Then you have to figure out the x-intercept of both or the y-intercept of both, and then see how far away they are from each other. So do I have any final questions? There's one more problem for this standard, but do I have any questions right now? Pay attention to me and you'll be just fine, Perla. And keep reading. That's another way to become smarter. Expo marker. All right. Last one, guys. The function f of x equals x squared minus 3x minus 4 is graphed on the coordinate plane. Which points will be on the graph of the transformed function g of x equals f of x minus 3? This one's a real challenge. I left this one for last because this one is a lot. But guys, even I know that you guys are like, you feel dumb, you feel like you don't know what you're doing. I gave you really hard questions. Like these questions are like level, this is like, if you get this right, you're gonna get a 5 on the EOC. They're hard questions. All right, so don't feel like just because you don't know these and you're having trouble with these specific questions that you're gonna fail. You're not gonna fail. You can definitely do well on the EOC if you miss a couple of questions here and there. That's totally okay. Most of you, I know 100% in my heart, I know that all of you are gonna pass. All right, so don't feel, and you can always take it again, by the way. So you don't want to take it again. We don't want that because nobody wants to sit through 2 days of testing again. But just know that if it happens and if you don't do well and if for whatever reason you don't pass, there's always going to be another chance. All right. Okay, so let's do this now. So quadratic function, exponential function, linear function, what do I have? Exponential. This is exponential? No, what is it? Quadratic. Yeah, it looks like it because first of all, I have a 2 and the exponent, and second of all, it's a parabola. So I know for sure that this is quadratic. All right, and then it's telling me that this one here is f of x, but then I have g of x, and g of x, what transformation is this? Good, you got it, Tyrone. Right, 3 units. Okay, so this whole parabola is basically like sliding down 3 units to the right. So there's kind of like 2 ways we can do this. One way can be to kind of sketch it out. So for example, I know that this is f of x. I'm just going to trace it so that I can see it a little better. And I know that f of x is moving 3 units to the right. So what I can do is I can kind of sketch my new graph. And I know that it's moving 3 units to the right. So 1, 2, 3, that's one of my x-intercepts. 1, 2, 3, that's my other x-intercept. And then my vertex, approximately 3 units to the right, is going to be somewhere over here. And then I can kind of like sketch it. So this is, I'm eyeballing here. I'm not going to be super perfect or anything. But there's an idea of what it's going to look like when it's 3 units to the right. And what I can do is I can kind of look through these answer choices and then see which ones are close, see which ones make no sense at all, and then kind of narrow it down. So let's go through all of them. So -5, 6. Is that a possibility, or is it like no way in the world that's going to be on my graph? Yeah, not at all. Not even close. That one's out. How about -4, 0? Also doesn't make any sense. What about 0, 14? Well, 0, 14, is it in the box or is it out of the box? It's out of the box. So can you actually can I tell right now if it's going to work out? Hard to tell. So I wouldn't rule it out completely quite yet. It might work out, it might not. We'll have to see. So I'm going to leave that one. What about 1, 6? Yeah, that looks, I mean, I sketched it out. It's not a perfect sketch, but it does look like that's going to line up. So I'm going to leave that one. What about 2, 0? Yeah, that one I can actually know for sure because I know that I started at -1, 0 and then I moved 3 units to the right, which brought me to my new x-intercept 2, 0. So yeah, this one I feel really, I can definitely check mark that one. I feel good about that one. How about 7, 0? Tyrone says yes. Do we agree? Seven, 0. I'll zoom in. Are we in agreement? Tyrone is agreeing with himself. Does anyone else agree with Tyrone? Janelli says yep. Okay. Emily agrees as well. Cool. Yes, so that's all good. So really the only ones I need to double check are 1, 6 and 0, 14. Okay, well, let's check. Let's see. 1, 6. 1, 6. All right, so I'm gonna kind of erase my sketches here. I'm gonna go back to where I started. my original function right here. This is negative 2, comma 6. And if I move that 3 units to the right, like I'm supposed to, do I land exactly on 1, comma 6? Does that work out? Are we in agreement that this is good? I have no answers in the chat. I am just speaking to the wind. And I'm speaking specifically to the wind named Tyrone and nobody else. Did my red dot move 3 units to the right to make my green dot? Yes or no? Yes. Yes. Good. Okay. Yes. So good. 1, comma 6 is good. And then 0, comma 14 is the only one I don't really know about. So that one's one that we're going to have to like sort of figure out. Oh, everyone decides that they exist now. Awesome. Good. Okay. So so we're all catching up now? Okay. I'll give you guys 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Now we're stopping. Okay. All right. So, okay. So what was I saying? We're trying to see if 0, comma 14 is correct. 0, comma 14 would be the what of that function. This would be the what of that function. Hmm? 0, comma 14, that's a special point. That is the what? Guys, I need an answer. I don't know what y'all are talking about in the chat. I didn't ask a yes or no question. I know it's Friday. Trust me, I'm tired too, but we have a big old test coming up. We cannot be unfocused right now. 0, comma 14 is a special point. What is that point called? Thank you, Perla, the y-intercept. Okay, so I know that this is the y-intercept of the function, and I need to see whether that y-intercept would actually like work out for us. Now, I know that this is f of x minus 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take f of x, and wherever I see an x, what should I do? Tyrone is correct if we're looking for the y-intercept, but what I'm trying to do, because I already know the y-intercept of f of x, but I don't know the y-intercept of g of x, okay? So, but I know that to go from f of x to g of x, I need to subtract 3 from x. So I'm going to plug in x minus 3 wherever I see an x, okay? So let's go through this. Here we go. X minus 3 to the power of 2. That's the same as x minus 3 times x minus 3. Ooh, my handwriting. Here we go. Okay, then I have minus 3. I'm going to, what's the called? Distribute. So minus 3x, and then negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. So plus 9 minus 4. Okay. But now I need to FOIL. And I promise we're almost done. As soon as we FOIL, we'll pretty much be done. So I get x squared minus 3x minus 3x plus, we're multiplying, There you go, plus 9. And then minus 3x plus 9 plus 4. We've got all these like terms that we're going to need to combine. Let's finish it off. So I have x squared. Are there any other x squareds? No, that's it. But now I have a bunch of x's. So I have 3x, 3x, and another negative 3x. So altogether, how many do I have? Good, 9. And then I have 9 plus 9 plus 4. 9 plus 9 plus 4 is 22. Yes. Is that correct? 9 plus 9 is 18. Yeah, 18 plus 4 is 22. So what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is 22. Therefore, that was wrong. So see, like you really, there was no way to know that one by just looking at the graph. I had to like really figure it out that way. Okay, so let's see, it's 2:06. How many questions do we have left over? These are easy. I think all the rest are super, super easy. Yeah, these are all super easy. Cool, let's do them. What do I do here? Plug in just 12. Yeah. Go for it. Plug in 12, see what you get. Perla already got it. She got 11. Good. How did you do 2/3 times 12, by the way? Good. Multiply by the top. 12 times 2 is 24. And 24 divided by 3 gave you 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. F of 12. Wait. Yeah. 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. Mental math. Pretty easy. All right. Questions on this one? Here's another. What is f of negative 5? Go ahead. Mental math. What do you get? 27. Good. What's important for this one? Because I'm seeing some different answers. Good. Negative 5 times negative 5. Since that 5 is negative, don't forget 2 negatives make a positive. So negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25. 2 plus 25 is 27. D. Rios, you gotta get on it, man. They're doing this quick mental math here. You gotta get on board. But of course, you know, on a test, if you want to double check yourself, double check yourself. Don't do it so fast on a test if you just want to be a little bit more careful. Okay, here's another one. This one's a word problem. The function h of t equals 200 minus 16t represents the height of a ball dropped from 200 feet. How far had the ball traveled after falling for 11 seconds? So what am I doing here? Hmm. 24 or 16? Okay, so you plugged in 11, right? Plugged in 11, and then we get 200 minus, what's 16 times 11? 176. And then 200 minus 176 is 24. Okay, but y'all are wrong. Read the question again. Be very careful. Read it carefully. What is the question asking for? Is it asking for where the ball is, or is it asking how far has the ball gone? How far? So picture it. This is a ball being dropped from 200 feet, right? So picture somebody on a cliff, 200 feet in the air. He drops the ball. 11 seconds pass. The ball is now over here, and that's 24 feet. But it's not asking where the ball is, it's asking how far did the ball travel. So if the ball started at 200 and it went down to 24, how many feet did it actually fall? 176. That was a trick question. This one's a tricky one. Do you guys understand though? Okay. This was like one of those that like when I read it for the first time, I was like, ooh, that's tricky. That's not fair. But yes, so the real answer is 176. Okay, couple more. Lee uses the graph of the function f of x to represent his projected earnings at his new job. Which best describes what f of x equals 40 means in this problem? So what does that statement, f of x equals 40, what does that actually mean? Take a look at the answers. Does anyone have an idea, or should I break it down? Okay, let me break it down because you guys have the right answer. I just want to make sure you understand why it's correct. Remember that x, whatever x is, that's the input. Whatever the function equals is the output. Input is the x values, output is the y values. So if the output is 40, that means I'm talking about 40 on the y-axis, right? So $40. So this point right here, this is 5, 40, which means that that's $40 is the amount that he earns for working 5 hours. So yes, if you chose C, that is correct. I just want to make sure we understand why. Questions on this one? Okay, cool. Here's another, very similar, but slightly different, so be careful. Use the function to answer the question below. F of x equals 2 over 5x plus 24. What is the value of x when f of x equals 25? So what am I doing here? Am I plugging in 25? No, right? Because that's not my input. 25 is my output. So instead of plugging in 25, what should I do with that 25? Anyone? You're saying divide, but divide by what? If 25 is my output, I'm not going to plug it into the function. What am I going to do? No. Guys, follow what I'm saying. 25 is the output. So I'm not going to plug it in to the function. I'm going to put it where? Equal to. Thank you, Perla. So it's 25 equals 2 over 5x plus 24. Because 25 is not the input, I'm not going to plug it in. 25 is what f of x is. Look at, what did I do? I replaced f of x with 25 because it's telling me that f of x equals 25. All I did was replace f of x with 25. And now I can solve for x. So let's solve for x. Solving for x, first things first, what do? Minus 24, what's 25 minus 24? 1. How do I get x by itself? I have this fraction here. Good, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So 5 over 2, which cancels out my fraction. And I'm left with x equals 1 times 5 over 2, which is just 5 over 2. Answer choice C. Okay, you have to read the question carefully. I promise you, if you had plugged in 25, you would have chosen the wrong answer. You would have gotten 34, and that would have been wrong. Read it carefully. All right, we have about 3 more minutes remaining. Let me see if I won't. Okay. I want to do this one, and then we're done. The function g of x equals 20,000 times 1.20 to the power of x represents the population of a rapidly growing city x years after the year 2000. What does the value of g of 10 minus g of 9 represent in terms of the given context? Okay, again, inputs versus outputs. Are these numbers the inputs or are they the outputs? Good, they're my input. Both of them are inputs. And they mean something. What does the input represent in this problem? The value of what? Go back to the original function. The original function, the input is a variable, it's x. What does x represent? The years, good. Years. So when I say that the input is 10 and 9, that's 10 years and 9 years. 10 years from the year 2000, right? Because it's years after 2000. So what years is this talking about? Good, so this one's 2010, and the other one is 2009. So we know we're talking about from 2009 to 2010, which means I can cancel out A and B. And now I only have 1 minute left, I know, so I'm not going to finish, but basically what you would need to do is plug in 10. So I would have needed to plug in the number 10 and see what I get. Plug in the number 9, see what you get, and then subtract those numbers from each other so that you can get the correct answer. It's one of these, but I don't have time to finish it right now. All right, so that takes us to the end, guys. Sorry I didn't have time to do homework at the end. I thought these were going to be easy, but then there were actually a lot of challenging ones. But make sure tonight when you do your homework that if you want to do the ones that we